Hello. The second theme of the course concerns the theory of comparative advantage. And to gain insight, it's good to start with the historical background of mercantilism. So we know from history that mercantilism was a dominant school of economic thought in Europe throughout the late Renaissance and the early modern period. And the idea in the mercantilist economies was to maximize exports and minimize imports. And the policies to achieve this was to impose very high tariffs, especially on manufactured goods, then forbidding trade of colonies with other nations and monopolizing markets and especially banning export of gold and silver, even for payments. So there would be really substantial impediments to trade during mercantilist period. I should say that, of course, this kind of idea that you want to increase the wealth of nations using these type of policies is not restricted to Europe or to this particular time period, but also if you think about for example, how Chinese Empire was trading with Britain. So similar kind of policies seem to be very tempting for great nations at least. So this is the historical background where actually economics as a field started to emerge, and it's good to mention the Adam Smith's seminal book, The Wealth of Nations, which is even nowadays understood as an important critique of mercantilism. So Adam Smith was emphasizing that wealth is not just about gold, but actually real wealth consists of goods and services exchanged in the market. So the nation's wealth is not it's money, stocks, or gold. Money is just a medium of exchange. And I should also mention that here in Finland, there was Anders Judenius wrote a book in Swedish in a similar vein, arguing in favor of free trade and laying down the principles for free trade or free markets already somewhat earlier than Adam Smith. But because he wrote in Swedish and it didn't become like very globally known as much as Adam Smith's groundbreaking work. So there was this kind of beginning of what is called nowadays classical economics from moral philosopher Adam Smith, and another influential classical economist is David Ricardo, whose portrait I put on this first slide. So his very influential book, The Principles of Political Economy and Taxation, described the comparative advantage using the following kind of numerical example that is worth to consider in a little bit more detail. So let's consider trade between two countries, in this example, England and Portugal that David Ricardo gave. And in this table below his portrait, there is this indicated how many hours of work are needed to produce one unit. So for England, so suppose that there's two goods, clothes and wine. And for both goods, England requires more work than Portugal. So in that sense, Portugal is more productive in terms of labor productivity. And let's assume away any capital and other factors of production. So let's suppose that there's only work is needed. So Portugal is clearly superior in production of both clothes and wine because there's less work needed to produce one unit of cloth and one unit of wine. So this is also seen in this diagram in the middle of this slide. So there is the red line describing the production possibilities of Portugal, and the blue line indicates the production possibilities of of England. So suppose that initially both countries produce both clothes and wine and without trading. So there is this two diamonds. The green diamond indicates that what England is producing, and the orange color diamond indicates what Portugal is initially producing. So there is England produces 18 units of clothes and 15 units of wine, whereas Portugal, with its superior efficiency, it produces 16 units of clothes and up to 27 units of wine. So if labor is the only factor of production, then this production possibility set is like indicated by this straight line, that how this it depends on that how much workers are allocated to this to these activities, that how much can be produced. So the insightful idea of David Ricardo in this example was to show that if countries specialize and then trade, so then in this second example, is it suppose that England and Portugal start to trade with each other. So suppose that England specializes in clothes and it can produce up to 36 units of clothes, and if Portugal entirely specializes to production of wine, then they can produce 45 units of wine. And the interesting then is that notice that by specializing and then trading, then both countries combined can produce more than they would be producing if they do not trade. So in this initial situation, notice that in the initial situation, the combined output of clothes is 18 plus 16, so it is 34 units of clothes, which is less than what England could produce alone if it specializes. And similarly, the combined output of wine in this initial with these diamonds was 15 plus 27, so it's 42, and it's also less than 45 units of wine that Portugal can produce alone if it specializes. So this indicates that since both this amount of clothes and wine increase if both countries specialize, then it's possible that both countries can benefit through trade, because the total amount of clothes and wine available for these two countries is bigger as a result of specialization. And here is this important idea of comparative advantage that comes from. So I'll continue explaining this theory of comparative advantage in more detail in the next lesson. See you then. Bye bye.